Here we are. How's it going?
What's up, y'all? Got my buddy Kyle on here tonight.
How's it
We're going to
going?
talk about some things other than moonshine.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
Hell yeah. Give it a break every once in a while. As long as it has to do with some sort of outlaw shit, I'm down. So,
Hey,
so back in the day, my buddy Kyle was the grow guy.
definitely was.
Uh, let's hear a little bit about that. Some people are interested in going, and you know, there's a lot of information that you give me. What's up, CBD Ron? It's a lot of information that I get from you when I talk to you because you know I'm curious.
Hmm.
I've never like I've grown kind of outside when I was a kid a little bit, but not enough to really swag, But if you was to do it, you know, inside, you got a lot of pointers, a lot of information, a lot of good information.
Definitely. Yeah. I know a lot of gorilla growing too. I don't know just inside. So like it just depends on like what area that you're trying to do that I can give advice on and stuff. But typically my expertise would be indoors, you know. So like if I was to start something nowadays, I mean, I would probably pursue like a legal route because it's so easy now, you know, especially in Ohio. It's kind of like a liquor license. But back in the day, you know, we get like those ballasts from like gymnasiums and stuff, you know, and run high pressure sodiums or metal hylids and whatnot. And you could just make real easy like hoods and stuff out of that stuff and run them in tents. So, I mean, nowadays, if I was to do it, I would probably just buy like a 4x4 tent. I'd go like an ebb and flow system, make it real easy. You know, change your water out and your newts out like once a week. You know, have it on timer system. Um, I mean, it's hydroponics is kind of the way to go. I mean, dirt is more forgiving, but like there was one time that I had a trip to Florida and I had a grow. I was in the middle of a grow. You know, if that would have been dirt, I would have been fucked. You know,
Yeah.
but since I had everything on timers with an ebb and flow system and all that, I left, I came back, and nothing was wrong because everything was just on time, on cycle, just rolling. You know.
Automated. That's pretty
Yeah.
badass.
Yeah.
I'm growing dope. Automated, bro. I could go on vacay,
One
come
hundred
back,
percent.
and my buds are still good.
And then now, I mean, like with like apps and stuff, like all the smart technology you have. Just think about the possibilities with that automated setup. With that, you know,
Oh yeah.
you can have Adreno boards hooked to your pumps,
So,
all kinds of stuff. You wouldn't even have to be at a grow spot. You know, nobody ever see you coming and going other than setting up and taking down. You know, so that would be
yeah,
like
so
the
there
way to
wouldn't be
do
no
it.
traffic there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Just
You
set up
wouldn't
and
have to
go.
run to your fucking wherever. Like if you got a barn or a shed, you wouldn't have to run out there every night to make sure they're watered. I mean, you just fucking hook up with a
Yeah.
timer and a fucking sprinkler system on the inside or whatever, however you're doing it. I found what was interesting was the cycle that you told me how you would just take these and set them up here and then have the into the just the amount
Oh
that
yeah,
it was
yeah, yeah.
processing in a
So
small space that blew my fucking mind. Like,
well, there's a certain. All right, boys. I'll tell you a little trick. So when you're working with small spaces, um, you want to get you a very resilient strain, something like a pineapple express or like a skunk or like a white widow, you know, or white rhino, something in that family in the range of strains. And then what you could do is you can get like a 3x3 tent with a 2x2 table in it, right? And don't go metal hyalid just for growing, for the growth cycle. You can literally run HPS the whole time, a flower or anything, because you're really not going to be into a vegetative cycle at all. Now, what you'll have is like a bunch of T8s up in your top, like your cloning part of your tent, right? And because sometimes they sell like dual tents, so like up here it'll be like your clones, and then down here you'll be flowering, right? So what I would do is I would go, I'd have a small bushed out, like a real small, I don't know, like the mother would be maybe like a foot tall, and I would just bush her out, right? And then I had like an all natural like bubble cloning system. I would use like only Super Thrive in it or something in the newts. There wouldn't be nothing special in there. And then I cut straight from the mother, put it into the cloning machine, and those T8s would just grow it, right? And as soon as they get roots, I would throw them in like hydrogen and rock wool cubes and put them in like little 4 by 4 inch pots and put them down on my ebb and flow table. And what I would do is like 2 days after they were in the flowering, I would cut the bottom branches. So their entire life cycle, they were just flowering up into big donkey dick of fucking bud. And I was able to roll out at least a quarter pound, you know what I'm saying, every 2 to 3 weeks in a 3 by 3 tent. So I mean, like you got to think like when you're trying to like do stuff in a very confined space, you're limited on resources. This was a 400-watt bulb, by the way. It wasn't a 1,000-watt bulb because you don't want to, alert certain things. You could just keep that stuff, 4 inches, 5 inches away from the tops. And you got to think you're only raising it as it grows. So if it grows an inch, you raise it an inch, and it's just chasing. You know what I'm saying? That way, when it actually buds, it's not branching off into so many different stem sites where the pistils can start flowering and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So you're just focusing on one giant bud. So that's how you're able to like maximize like weight in a small condensed area.
That's awesome, man. That makes me want to grow. That makes me want to grow. I want to grow some shit so bad, dude. I really do. I would love to grow some shit. Get a tent. Like I've looked at those 4x4s, but I already do one thing, that's a little bit fucking not on the straight and narrow. So, and if that's where people find themselves in trouble. If you just do one thing, you're looking at one thing. You know what I mean? It's when the fucking big brother comes in and you're doing 2 or 3 things, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, we're fucking him," and then they're taking all your shit and stuff like that. But yeah, man, I would love to fucking grow. I'm really into like I don't even eat mushrooms, but I'd love to grow those motherfuckers too.
Those are so easy.
Be awesome.
Mushrooms are so easy to grow.
Yeah, I got a lot of buddies that are growing them, and I had Midwest on here a couple weeks ago. He's fucking grows them like crazy.
Yeah, they don't use a lot of light
for everybody.
They need like maybe an hour of light a day. Like they don't need much. You could literally go to Walmart and get like a $10 fluorescent bulb, put it in a closet, get you like a clear, Rubbermaid tub with a sealable lid, and then you can just, check the humidity by like putting your substrate in there and getting it like, nice and moist and stuff and letting it sit like, sitting there. I have like a little portable heater, keep it around like 70 degrees. You know what I'm saying? And then keep it like a humidity gauge in there, and then check the humidity. And if it's too less, drill like like another hole in there to let a little bit more in. Or seal it off. Yeah.
They got these spores now. They'll fucking grow. You ain't even got to do a goddamn thing. You put them in there, put them in your closet, and walk away, and come back. And the motherfuckers are growing and shit.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Like the strains they got out now, like it's crazy. It's cool as shit, and I can't wait. I can't wait till we decriminalize mushrooms as well. I know we decriminalized marijuana here, but we haven't decriminalized mushrooms. I don't think
you can grow mushrooms all you want, and it's not illegal. I can fill this whole house with Rubbermaid tubs full of mushrooms and inoculation and all that, but as soon as you dry them, they become illegal.
Really? Is that what it is? Is the minute you dehydrate them?
Yep. As soon as they kick in your fucking door, if they're all growing, no problem. They come in a week later and you're drying them, then you got a problem.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It's so weird, man. Laws are so weird.
I know that they've never been able to outlaw the peyote cactus. There's people that grow them in their window sills in places like California and shit.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, they'll fucking pull a button off that motherfucker. They've
Yeah.
never been able to outlaw that because the way it grows, and I think that people just don't abuse peyote. Like, you don't see too many motherfuckers over eating peyote more than once a year.
Well, it's
I think once a
expensive,
year is
you know.
well. It's I mean I heard that trip's crazy. I got an uncle that went out to the desert and he did it
Yeah.
and he did not fucking like it. And he's done everything. Like he's
Yeah.
even done heroin. He's like, man, I used to bang heroin back in the day. I ain't give a shit. He's like, but he was like, you know, the guy is like the beer guy for the fucking, was it Dos Equis, the most interesting man in the world.
Yeah.
That's what this motherfucker was. Like Uncle Al, he did everything. He went everywhere. He was an awesome guy. But
Yeah.
he said, man, I did peyote one time. He said, and it's the closest thing to feeling like you're real life retarded than anything you've ever done in your life. And he said, and you'll drink on peyote. And he said, it's not like acid or it ain't like fucking any other drug where, you know, you drink on acid, you don't get drunk.
Right.
He said, you drink on peyote, you just keep getting drunker and drunker and drunker.
Yeah.
And you feel that feeling of the peyote. He said that he thought he become retarded. he's like, this is, if I could imagine what it felt like to be retarded, and no offense to anybody that, you know, we've all got a cousin. No offense. I'm not trying to, maybe I shouldn't use the word retarded, but I use it all the time. But he did not like peyote. He said he didn't care for it much.
Yeah. He said something about what's my thoughts on the outdoor greenhouse? Depends on where you live. I mean,
You get around here, your neighbors would rob that motherfucker.
yeah, yeah.
You'd
I mean,
find some neighbors in that son of a bitch. I've never known somebody to grow outdoors anywhere in this city and not have their shit robbed. And
right.
plus, everybody who grows is always like, come check out my shit. You
Yeah.
don't tell nobody. You don't even tell your mom, dude. I don't give a fuck. Don't tell nobody. You're growing top secret. Don't fucking tell a soul because your people that you show will tell somebody and then you have some asshole stealing your buds.
Yeah.
Straight up.
I actually got a story about that. So back in my younger years, you know, I was a little thug, and there was this girl that I knew, and I was kind of seeing, but she had a boyfriend, and she kept telling me like all summer long, like, yeah, my boyfriend, he's out here in this field growing weed, and I was like, oh yeah, 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 yeah. She's like, yeah, you want to see? And I looked at my friend, and I'm like, yeah, I want to see this stuff, you know. And she took us out there and showed us his spot, and you know, I kept seeing her for a couple of months, you know, and every once in a while, me and my buddy would drive over, you know, and check to see, you know, what the progress was on this crop, right? And I kept leading her on, you know, and until it was about harvest time, and then me and my boys went over there and we cut them up, pulled them all, you know, stole everything, and yeah, she came over.
Damn.
She's like, I know it was you. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. You know, uh,
Hopefully she ain't watching right now.
hey, I don't, hey, man.
Like, I knew it, motherfucker. Hey, kids do fucked up shit.
She's probably a junkie
Yeah,
somewhere
man. Oh, yeah. Like, hey, you owe me $10 for doing that. Way
yeah,
back when.
yeah. I'll settle for a pack of Marlboros.
Yeah. I need $5 for some glass, though. Man, this meth has gotten bad, dude.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
It's gotten bad. The worst place to go is like if you go into fucking the Goodwill.
Mm-hmm.
You go into fucking thrift stores and they're over there like
It's like the fucking Walking Dead.
yeah, and you're like, God damn! I seen this bitch had a clothes hanger stuck in her hair one day at the fucking Sam's Club. I was like, God damn, clothes hanger stuck in your fucking hair. What the fuck's wrong with you, bitch? Like, go home, take a goddamn nap. You ain't been asleep in 4 days.
What's worse is
Crazy.
the like the functioning ones that do it like just enough, you know, to be like kind of like a junkie, but they're functioning enough to like pass it off on people, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I could always read it, man. I could read it. I could read the eyes. The eyes roll.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're fucking high, motherfucker. Don't lie to me. I know it, bitch. I grew up around junkies my whole life. I come from a fucking land of the junkies, bitch. You can't fucking fake being high around me. I will fuck you up. I'll pretend just to be polite. But then when they do some fucked up shit, I tell them that. Like, everybody knows you're goddamn junkie. It's like,
Yeah.
we're just pretending that to believe your bullshit to be polite. We're being polite. But we all fucking know every goddamn time you lie.
Yeah.
I hate them, dude.
Hey,
Fucking hate
normalize.
junkies,
You
dude.
said you're gonna move your crop outside, and how eh, how long's it been inside? If you don't mind me asking, because the big thing there is indoor plants aren't as strong as outdoor plants. You know, you can because they're like weed in general is a very resilient plant, but the less stress you cause, the better grow you're gonna have, more yield and all that. I mean, you also gotta think about pests and stuff. As soon as you take those nice, fresh indoor crop, when you move it outside, everything that eats that shit is gonna come from every corner of the earth to find it and eat it. Um, Deers especially. Deers love weed. Every time I've ever had a crop outdoors, I've always had to put deer repellent around because the deers will come through and just eat the hell out of your weed.
They make this shit. It's like a gel. It smells like skunk ass. You put it all around your fucking crop, and it's supposed to like make
Mm-hmm.
all the animals swear like, I don't want nothing to do with that skunk piss.
Yeah.
It's like a gel though. Don't get it on your skin because you'll be smelling like fucking skunk.
Yeah, he's got the key right there. Low stress.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
really don't want to stress your plants out because you'll start risking it going into like hermaphrodite stuff, and you can lose a
well,
whole strain.
when you move them, I find that they go into shock, don't they? Like when I was a kid, my mom found because they would smoke so much weed, they would just flip the seeds out in the yard. One of the motherfuckers started growing, but it was like right where everybody could see it. We look over and there's fucking that motherfucker's 4 foot tall.
Yeah,
And my mom's like, look at that. And we would walk by that motherfucker every day. It was right by our back patio. And I was like, holy shit, that thing's 4 foot tall. We never fucking noticed we had a pot plant in our fucking yard.
mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm keeping it, mom. Fuck that shit. And I was like 14. She's like, well, you got to move that motherfucker over here. So dig it up, replant it over here. And I did. And about a week later, I noticed that it was all wilting and shit. The leaves were all. And my mom, she smokes reefer, dude. She's fucking hippie through and through.
Yeah,
And I got home from school and she wasn't home from work yet. And I was like,
yeah.
God damn it, this thing's dying. So I took and I just raked everything off of it. Took my hand and raked right up, leaves and all. I was 14. I smoked leaves. I don't give a fuck.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
get a headache. But my mom got home and was like, oh shit, why'd you do that? And I was like, it was done. She was like, it was in shock, son. It was gonna come back through. She's like, you moved it, and when you do that, it goes into shock. And I was like, well, I didn't know that, but I'm fucking gonna smoke these leaves and put them leaves in the microwave and shit, fucking dry them out, Crazy.
yeah. Replant
We
is
put them on
very
light bulbs, everything.
yeah. Replanting is very tricky. If you're gonna do it, get you some Super Thrive. Super Thrive is your best friend for anything related to growing that stuff. You
So
know.
it's been quite a few years since you've grown, right?
Yeah, I mean, I do some bonsai in here and there because I like bonsai, and
Yeah.
every once in a while I'll start bonsaiing some weed. But to be honest, that's very hard to do, especially with weed and trying to keep it low stress and keeping it going for a long time. So it's probably been about 5 years since I've grown. I mean, stuff's so accessible now. I can literally go into shops now and just buy it. You know, I was doing it back in the day because I was trying to like
Yeah.
pay for my rap career. All I knew was just like outlaws and fucking hippies and gangsters and like that's what I grew up around. So it was like to make a way for myself in life. I was like, how do I get this money? To pay for all the shit that I need to do. So like, yeah, I don't really grow or nothing anymore other than just for like hobby. But Yeah, I mean, it's been a while. I probably would eventually, but I just want to say is like that's kind of how I learned. I learned from like some old school hippies. Like that's who taught me how to grow. It's just a bunch of old school hippies. I'm not gonna say any names just because they're like that. They're on that code, you know. But
Yeah, yeah,
you know, they're like, hey, you ain't got lights? Go climb up telephone pole, steal the ballast off the telephone pole, take the bulbs out the telephone poles, you know. And I was like, what? You're
yeah,
crazy. They're like, yeah, you see how that tree's just like growing towards that light? And I was like, yeah. He's like, yeah, because those are the bulbs we always used back in the day. And they teach me how to make ballast out of that stuff. Like you literally, you can start a grow for nothing, you know, if you're willing to get into the the everything's free side of things, you know.
yeah. And I had a guy tell me when I was a kid that take and put a big pot of soil up in a tree and tie that motherfucker up in the top of a tree, kind of hidden,
Mm-hmm.
and fucking pot some dope in that motherfucker, and it'd
Yeah.
be camouflaged right up in the tree. And then I used to hang out with this biker dude, and he was wild ass guy. I'm not gonna name no names because he's still alive,
Mm-hmm.
but he would go, and he was like a nomad uh fucking dope grower, man. He would fucking he'd go to the side of the freeway and plant one. He'd go to
Mm-hmm.
here and plant one, go there and plant one. He'd plant like 1,000 seeds just in random places
Mm-hmm.
and just check up on them every once in a while. And like 99% of them would get caught and ripped and stolen, but that 1%, man, he would fucking grow at just some random places. It would take off, and he'd end up with a couple plants every year like that. He ended up with free weed.
Do you
It
remember
was wild.
do you remember when we was young, you'd look off and it'd be like, don't mow here, state of XYZ, wildlife and botanical like protected area. Do you
Yeah,
remember those signs? I knew a
yeah.
guy who would just go and take his seeds and go plant them in those. And it'd be like off the side of the highway.
Hell yeah.
And like nobody would ever fuck with his crops because like it was a crazy fine if you fucked that shit up, you know? And he would be pretty successful at doing that. Me and my older brother used to do a lot of that guerrilla growing. You get like a tree stand and climb up a tree, find you a nice like tree with a good like center base that has like where the
Yeah.
squirrels kind of dug down in there, you know, and then you go and like
Yeah.
clear out the insides of it and shit. Yeah, you can get off a lot of growing doing that, man. I wouldn't do that. I mean,
I'm gonna
it's
put one in my neighbor's tree. That way, if they come rolling around, and you know what I mean,
yeah, or something
I'll just check on them.
like good creek systems that kind of ebb and flow naturally. Those are great spots, especially if they're right around some sun. I was reading about the piss. Um, everybody's piss is different, and your has different pH balance day to day. So technically, depending on like what you're consuming, it could or couldn't be a good idea to use piss as a. He said, "Been pissing on my one plant indoor since October. It's about 7 foot tall." Yeah, yeah. I mean, I get it, man. I get it. You can definitely do it. Like I said, they're resilient plants. I was just saying, there's a lot easier way of doing things. Um, so technically, like pH, you can always like go up in pH as much as you can, but you can only go down. When you go down, it starts to lock it out. You can't go back up once you start going down to a certain level of acidity and in your nutrients.
I like that one.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
peaceful is shining hooker spit.
Sounds
Mine
about
too,
right.
brother. Oh fuck, hell yeah.
Yeah. You want to keep around like 6.5 to 7 on the pH scale for your nutrient solutions. That's where you want to be ideally. 6.5 is probably the best for like hydroponic setup.
Wouldn't too much pee fucking definitely fuck it up?
And like I said, this
Like,
depends on what kind of person you are. Are you the type of person that pisses out brown? Probably shouldn't be peeing on your plant. Yeah.
that's me. Fucking, I'm so dehydrated all the time, man. I piss and it's fucking orange. Unless I'm drinking, then it's clear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, once you get a couple good fucking drinks, that shit goes right to being clear. So I think that's what the solution to everything is.
Yeah. Vibration is
Couple
good.
drinks,
Um, I used to play like music.
music.
I used to play music to my plants all the time, and it's more about like just the movement. But like if you have like high powered fans on your plants, they're gonna keep breaking down and get stronger and stronger and stronger. That's what I was gonna bring up when you said bringing your crop outside. Before you do that, make sure you got a good size fan on it, blowing kind of consistently, but not so much that it's gonna start ripping the leaves and stuff off. But you want to get it nice and strong before you go outside because the straight line winds and shit that might hit it could just rip it out, you know. Burnt ash. Yeah, I've used ash and fertilizer before. Yeah. Um used to I used to take my buds sometimes and cure them in corn husk and bury them. That's a whole way of doing it. So curing's like a whole nother thing too. I had a special way of doing it because I used to have to get on the bus line, and I'd have like a pound or two in my book bag, and the boys on the bus would be smelling that shit, and they would try to like,
You get robbed real fucking quick.
well, yeah, because they were trying to honeypot me and stuff. They would have girls get on the bus and stuff and like try to hit on me and all that. But I already knew what was up because I've been out here for a long time, and so I started getting off at stops, 2 or 3 stops down from my stop on the bus line. But eventually I learned how to like cure it where it doesn't smell, but you don't lose potency. So what I would always do is immediately I'd let them hang for like a day or two, just normal. And then after that, I would go straight to a giant sized glass jar. But the glass jar wasn't exactly like a sealable top. It was just glass. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like what you would use in like a chemistry set. And what I would do is I'd burp it all day. As soon as it would build moisture up, and if I'd see any type of moisture on the inside of the glass, I would go burp it. And what it does is that doesn't allow it to get that smell going. So if you're in a spot where you don't want a lot of smell, yeah, if you don't want a lot of smell and you're traveling with it, you can do it that way. You won't lose potency, But I found, it gets a little hard to sell it when you're selling some weed that kind of just smells a little sweet. Because people, for some reason, they want to buy weed that smells, dank. But I would always be like, here, smoke this. It's probably the best shit you've ever fucking had, And they wouldn't believe me. So I'd be like, all right, I'll smoke a half a blunt with you, but you got to buy a quarter off me, And they'd be like, all right. And they'd hit that shit like, damn, that shit's fucking good, But yeah, you can get the smell out of it so you can travel with it. I mean, if you're growing weed, you're gonna smell like it regardless. But
this shit right here is grown locally. It's gone. But yeah, it's grown in Springfield, Ohio.
Yeah. I got a little half of some shit
called Mad River Kush. Mad River Kush.
This stuff's called Khalifa. It's a little blunt that I've been smoking on. But this stuff's good. You mind if I smoke on here? Does that matter?
Oh, I don't give a shit. It's alive. Nobody's gonna see this anyways. Just PhilBilly crew, all my homies, all my outlaws. Fucking what's you guys' thoughts on edibles, man? Do they fuck you up or not? Because I know a lot of people that get them and they're like, this didn't do nothing to me at all. This didn't do nothing to me at all. A lot of people can't metabolize it, so it makes it kind of like you don't really want to make a bunch and then not have them have any effect. I don't
Yeah.
know, man. Like I've been thinking about making some edibles, but I don't want them to fucking go to waste.
Yeah. I like
I
edibles.
don't want to just feed somebody a shitty tasting brownie that don't get them fucking high.
Edibles are kind of my choice to go with nowadays, like over smoking. Like I'll go with
Really?
some edibles all day. Yeah.
Then maybe we should make some brownies together, dude.
I don't do brownies because of the taste. What I do is Rice Krispie treats,
I'm down. I got.
and they're stronger.
I'm not gonna talk. I'm not
They're
gonna
so much
talk on here
stronger.
about it,
But I
but
got you.
we got what we need. That's all
Yeah.
I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Fucking. We'll make some Rice Krispie treats, dude.
I'm telling you, it's a lot better. Yeah. I'll explain to you one day.
Yeah.
Well, the
I think
biggest
we
thing.
should double up.
Mm-hmm.
Would it change the taste if we doubled up on the amount of shake? Like we're gonna break it all up in the shake, put it in the oven. But what if we use twice as much that's normally that you would use?
You wouldn't have to.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it in the oven like that.
No
So
decarbon?
no, what I would do is I would take it and I would get some bubble bags and some dry ice, right? And then you put all your bud inside of those, and then you shake it, and it gets so cold, all the little THC little resin sacks, they fall off into the bottom, and then you get like different micron screens, and then the ones that are on the smallest level are going to be your most potent, and then like the bigger fatter ones in the micron screens are bigger, right? You extract those sacks, little tiny resin sacks out of there. They call it keef and all that kind of stuff. It's it's what you see on the outside of your bud. There's a little sugar and stuff. It looks like sugar. You extract those out the bag,
Yeah.
and then you go to your stovetop and you take that stuff, right? And you cook down your butter until it's like completely liquid, and then you back off the heat, and then you add those in, all those little crystals and stuff into it, and then you slowly go back up in the heat and bring it up to temp where then it fuses in, and then you back it back off.
It's like making meth.
Then you're gonna get some information, bro. So and only then you can make your Rice Krispie treats, brownies, but they're gonna be way strong.
Yeah. Yeah, let's do it, man. There's a place we could get dry ice downtown. Let's do this. Dude.
I can make dry ice.
Really?
Yeah.
That shit's above my pay grade.
You don't need much.
Nah. I got YouTube. I'll figure it out. But yeah, man, if you're doing it, you explain it to me. That's even cooler.
It's basically like taking
some Rice Krispies.
You're basically making a bubble hash, basically, but you're taking the bubble hash and instead of compressing it, you're cooking it into a butter.
Fuck yeah, I'm down, dude. I want to make some shit. Let's talk about Reggie, man. There's and let's also talk about fucking Michigan. God damn. Like Michigan has made weed worthless. It has made weed worthless. Like you could get an onion of the funkiest of the funk right now for about $100 to $130.
Yeah.
Because of Michigan. Because you go to Michigan and get them for $50 an onion at the damn dispensary.
Yeah.
So now this shit's about worthless. I mean, there's shit now that you would have an onion of that 5 years ago would be worth $200 easy, $250 maybe.
Not even that. You can literally go to any gas station now and buy Delta 8.
Oh, and it's so strong. They got it so potent, dude.
I mean, and it's Delta 8. It's not like Delta 8 back in the day. You know what I'm
It's
saying?
legal in
It's
all
like
fucking 50 states.
they've bred these plants for the Delta 8 production. So that's what people don't realize. Like, it's not like back in the day where, like, you know, you was smoking leaves and you would get the Delta 8 out of it and you'd kind of feel high, you know. It's like the genes in
Oh,
these plants are worked into it. And
they got
the whole reason it's like, oh, it don't really get you that high. It's like kind of bullshit. I mean, it's not gonna be as strong as like the Delta 9 and shit, but like if you're talking about Reggie,
it's so
and you're talking,
concentrated it knocks your dick in
yeah,
the dirt.
yeah, and you can get it anywhere. Like you can go buy it anywhere.
So it's scary because you got motherfuckers doing this Delta 8 and it's so concentrated now. Like
Mm-hmm.
they cram so many milligrams in such a little piece that you'll eat a piece of fucking candy and flip your shit because you'll be high for 12 fucking hours straight. You'll be tired of being fucking high. You'll puke. Man,
Yeah.
I got these little gummies at this little fucking store and they're legal. You could go in there in all 50 states and get these. You could send these in the mail to people. You could get them in the mail from a business. There's nothing they could do for them. They're legal. Nobody could say anything about them, but they're these little gummies. They're square. And they're fucking at all the little gas stations, little haji shops. And dude, they fuck you up. You know, I got a buddy. He probably weighs, 250, 260 pounds. He's a big guy. Not as big as me, but he's a decent sized human.
Yeah.
He ate fucking 3/4 of one. He said I was gone for 11 fucking hours and I hated it. He was like, I was that fucking high.
So
he was like,
my bad. If you he said it doesn't get you high. If you smoke and then you smoke the Delta 8, no, you're probably not gonna get high off of it. Like it's not the same as that. I'm talking about like people who don't really smoke but they want to go buy something legal. Delta 8 will get you high.
They got it so concentrated now, bro, that it does get you high.
Mm-hmm.
It will fuck you up. Like, especially if you don't smoke every day, all day. Like nowadays, everyone smokes all day long, and they smoke 90 fucking percent THC fucking out of a vape. And it's like, God damn, that's strong as fuck.
Delta 8 ain't gonna get you high when you're doing
that. Dude, Reggie is worthless, and you can't even give it away now.
Yeah.
And that, dude, I'm a fucking bitch when it comes to this shit. Mm-hmm. That's what I go for. I'm like, give me Reggie. I can't fuck with that new shit. It's too strong. Yeah. Unless I'm drinking and then I just go right to fucking sleep. I kind of black out and fucking go to sleep where I'm sitting like, but that's when I drink and smoke at the same time, especially if it's out of a fucking water bong. But yeah, man. It's crazy that you can't do shit with Reggie, but hopefully try and make some fucking edibles.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only way to actually process the Reggie to make it worth it. But then it's like once you get into all that, you could have just, bought some regular shit that wasn't Reggie. But I mean, for like edible sake, then I'd probably use the Reggie. Because like I don't know what is Reggie nowadays. Because like Reggie nowadays looks like what we would smoke back in the day that would be considered really good. So
yeah, exactly too. Like Reggie is it's huge. Like back in the day, Reggie was like this, and there was a higher end. We called it Mersh, commercial grade. That's what we called it, commercial weed. And then later on, people started calling it Reggie. But yeah, man, it's fucking wild.
Yeah.
I've got buddies that pull out fucking a bag with 4 pounds of Reggie, and they're like, anybody wants this shit? I'm like, I can't even give it away, dude. They're like, me neither. Like, and these fucking kids nowadays, dude, they're so spoiled.
Oh yeah. They have no idea the lines we crossed to get our weed back in the day.
Oh, fuck yeah. And the shit we smoked was fucking horrible half the time. We were happy, like, yeah, dude, we smoked the brownest fucking dope,
Well, I ended up knowing some people who like did some like homegrown shit back in the day when I was a kid. So I was like able to get some decent stuff back in the day, but I wasn't until I was like 16, 17, 18, you know. Um but like it's crazy to go from like where I used to be in smoking and all of it to like where I am now with it. Like I barely smoke. Like I've had that I smoked that like what forever ago, and I just pulled it out just now for this podcast, you know, just to partake in the community for a little bit. But it's really crazy that I see kids that are so young with such strong weed. You know, it's kind of concerning. You know,
Yeah.
like I look at it now like, well, if I was that high when I was 16, 17 or whatever, you know, what would I have been doing? Even if
You would
even if right,
puked.
like no, I'm just saying it in the fact of like I've learned so much about, you know, all that because I was young and I was like open to ideas and doing things and shit and getting to know people and all that. So like now if all you're doing is smoking this crazy strong potent weed and you're a kid and you're like sitting on your couch just playing video games all day, like you're not going to be out there learning, experiencing, even in like a criminal way. So like, you know, it's like there's like always a difference between like our age groups and shit because like our age group is like, well, I'll get into all my stuff or whatever it is in life, but I still got to take care of my life and my business, you know. Where like I see the younger crowds, they're not gonna be doing that, you know. If you
Yeah.
ever thought about it, it's kind of I don't know, it's weird.
I remember in the fucking 90s, I would always party with grown-ups. Like they would party like the baby boomers would party with Generation X. Didn't give a fuck. We was like
Mm-hmm.
13, 14 years old. Somebody's mom or dad would be over there like, here you go. He's like 13, 14, and all these grown-ups are just passing it around. You know, they're getting us drunk. We're like little grown-ups, man. We're not acting like fools. We're so used to it. It's so ingrained into us that we're not immature. We're not over there showing off, showing our asses, getting in trouble. We handled our shit.
Yeah.
But I remember them same hippie motherfuckers talking about how great the weed was back when they was a kid. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I call bullshit on that. I
Yeah,
call
yeah,
fucking bullshit.
yeah.
I think that throughout time it done nothing but go and get better. And I know it might be a memory thing, but
It's
you
not.
know, you know, she, I used to hang out with this chick, and her mom was always on that. We used to have tight stick, and we did 4-way window pane acid. And I'm just like,
Uh,
just take your ass over and get us some beer, please. Can you go get us some beer at the drive-through? Here's some
I,
money. Buy yourself some because we worked. We was fucking kids that got out of school and went to fucking work.
yeah,
But
yeah. I mean, I look at it
it,
like
it,
this,
it
right?
was
With that
crazy, man.
on that aspect of it, it's like you can't tell me your weed was better. Like, there's no way. Like the technology that we have now that we use for like noticing
Definitely not now.
genes and breeding and everything, and then you go just in like hydroponics section of it, and it's like you can literally test all your nutrients at home now. You don't have to like get it lab tested or nothing. Like you don't have to like do none of that now. Like it's all right there on the spot. You get, like I said, we were just talking about. I had automated setup, and that was what years and years ago. I had it on timers, like, you know. So like now, like I was saying with like smart apps and stuff, like these facilities that grow for these dispensaries and stuff are ridiculous. Like it's just go in there, you got like a guy who's kind of like a bot almost, and he'll just go bop 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 bop, playing them all, and then they could just leave, and they can like completely leave the room sealed until they have to come in and harvest this stuff. You know, like
Yeah,
those hippies weren't getting that kind of like level of like, you know, just the science of it, and they pumped the rooms with CO2. And I know they did that stuff back in the day, but like what I'm saying is we're gonna get more production and better plants because of the fact that like we've learned how to like master it. You know, like you guys were like setting the foundations of learning like, okay, well I can do this, like burn a fire over here and then like have it ducted in here for CO2 production outdoors. Like you guys were like innovating on that level, like not you, but like, that generation. But like now it's like I can go 40 minutes up the road, buy a whole tank of CO2 for like $30 or some shit, take it to my tent and have it on a regulator hooked to a timer. It'll go off 3 times a day, during feeding
Yeah.
cycles. Like there's no way that they was getting that kind of level of production going.
No.
You can't tell me it's
Well,
better.
I mean, the strains have a higher amount of THC in them. It's hands down. Like you have strains nowadays that have like super, like huge amounts of THC.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what set the bar back in the day was Northern Lights. That's the strain that changed the game for everybody. It was Northern Lights. That was a strain that changed the game in this fucking state and probably most others. That strain came out, people started growing Northern Lights, and it was fucking super mega funk. And then it just kept going higher and higher from there. The strains got crazier and crazier. And High Times Magazine, High Times Magazine had a lot to do with that shit, man. It's
Yeah, definitely.
crazy. Like they would put out these magazines and they would show you what was out there. So
Mm-hmm.
then you would go search for it, and people would find it. Like I remember the first time smoking Northern Lights, it was, you stepped your foot in a new world, man. It was totally different. It was like, oh, I've been smoking this swaggy swag for fucking
Yeah.
ever, and then all of a sudden somebody brought around some super funk, and
Yeah, like
it
some
changed the
G13 or
game.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Some of them old strains, Skunk Number One, which
Mm-hmm.
is part of what Northern Lights was made from. It's half Skunk Number One and half what was the other? I'll think of it in a minute. But remember
No.
bubblegum? That
Yeah.
shit really smelled like bubblegum. That was a cool strain too.
You
And
know
then
what
there
we're
was
famous for?
blueberry.
You know what we're famous for? The dumpster weed.
What? Oh
It,
yeah.
it sounds horrible, but like it's one of cannabis cup. It's one of the United
Really?
States' first cannabis cups was dumpster weed, and they came up with it up there in Ohio State. And it's a good
Yeah.
strain. Nobody, like, not a lot of people
Yeah.
grow
I
it
mean,
anymore.
these motherfuckers. I mean, it's huge here now. Like everybody's growing it. This is fucking Mad River Kush. This is grown like 30 minutes from here.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're growing it and not getting robbed. Because you try and grow something around here, man, you get fucking robbed.
They
But
could be drop shipping. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how I would do it. I would just have a license to sell it, and then I would order from another dispensary at a disclosed contracted price, and then I would have it shipped here, and then I would
you get
sell
to
it.
name it.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm naming it. And that's the thing with these kids too. Like if they don't know what it's called, they don't want to fuck with it. They're like, is it doo doo pie? Is it chicken nugget? It's got to have a name nowadays. Back in the day, it was just called weed, or you had Northern. Every once in a while,
mm-hmm.
it'd have a name, but we smoked anything we could get our hands
Yeah.
on back in
I
the day.
think like the timeline of all of it was like I think in that time is like skunk was probably like the best thing you could get, around here at least. But like now I think it went from like there to I think it was like the Northern Lights, and then after that it was like G13. Then after that it was like strawberry cough. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember
And
that. My cousin had some of that growing.
yeah. Yeah, and then we started getting crazy names. Like White Widow and White Russian and Rhino was back there, White Widow is one of my favorite strains. It's one of the
Hell
best.
yeah, it is one of the best. It's won so many awards too.
Yeah.
Oh, and I was a kid, dude. I quit smoking for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and then I went to a buddy's house, and I was like, and it's been like a couple weeks since I seen all my friends because some shit went down. And I had to move and come over to my buddy's house, and he's got a 4-foot water bong.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, dude, I'm ready to get fucked up. He's like, all right. So he rolled this fucking kick somebody's ass, dude. I can't handle too much more of that screaming in my house.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
rolled a big old doobie, right? He stuffed it in the stem that goes into the water bottle. And it's huge, man. So I'm just over there just packing it.
Yeah.
And I put my hand over it. And I don't take the shut up.
There you go.
I don't take it out. My bad, y'all.
Yeah.
So I just keep filling that tube. And they used to call vitamin E hits because they were yellow. And I guess vitamin E is supposed to be yellow. I don't know. My buddy always said, that's a big old vitamin E hit. He always said that shit. But I kept filling that motherfucker up. And then I got it full. And I was like, all right, and this one, pull that some bitch.
Yeah.
So I took that whole chamber. I fucking started coughing so much. My eyes are watering. My nose is running. Fucking puke. I do it again like that. And goddamn, and this weed was like moldy. It had fucking like blue shit on it from sitting in a storage locker. It was moldy and shit, dude. But it got me so fucking. Got me higher than I ever been in my life. I started I'm like, whoa. I start freaking out, dude. Like, and they're like, well, maybe we should go. I'm like, dude, I'm freaking the fuck out, bro.
Yeah.
And I was just a kid. I was like, I think I was 16 years old, man. They're like, let's go for a walk and try and walk that buzz down a little bit. So we go for a walk, and I just start fucking. I have such a bad anxiety attack that I collapsed. Dude, they had to call a fucking ambulance.
Yeah.
It was fucking embarrassing.
That was a lot.
It was horrible, dude. I was raking my arm on the fucking concrete, talking about flipping, like, I'm fucking flipping. It was humiliating, dude. But yeah, that moldy dope fucked me up. I never been high like that in my fucking life. And I got a buddy that tells that story every time I see it.
Yeah. You must have made an impression, you know. I had a buddy who took
he laughs.
I had a buddy that fucking took an air mattress pump and he hooked it up to like a bowl and used to just
shit.
You know, and then bro, that night he also had a gas mask that like a little hose and you hook a blunt up to it. That night was probably the highest I've ever been in my life. And I was throwing up in bushes. Like I ain't never in my life been that high. Like I kept throwing up in bushes and stuff. And every time like somebody bring like weed around or anything, I just smell it that night. I was just like I was high. Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude.
When we got into
hospital on that shit.
Yeah, well, I was about to bring this up because when we got into like these new like strains and stuff, I didn't realize like how potent weed had gotten. Because like I said, I don't smoke. You know what I'm saying? Like not anymore, really. Just every once in a while. But it was like the first time I hit some of this like new age strong, weed, and I forget what it was called. Anyways, I had like an anxiety attack, panic attack. Yeah, it started tripping me out, and I ended up having to go to the hospital. But they're like, I think you're just. They're like, I think you're just high, and they sent me home.
You're the one being fucking rude. What? I'm in the middle of something. I'll be done in a second. Peace.
But yeah, I had to go to the hospital, and then they just pretty much told me I was high.
You're just
they kept asking. Yeah, they kept asking like, no. But yeah, it's funny. I
have real bad anxiety, dude. So I gotta watch it, and it's gotta be like I can't go into it and get fucking stoned. But if I smoke, I gotta be like, let's see how this little bit does. Because certain strains, you're right, man. Certain strains will freak you the fuck out.
Well, I wasn't used to them at that point. Like I missed a huge deal of time where that stuff was like coming out and being innovated, and I just wasn't smoking or doing anything anymore. And I came back and I smoked, and I was like, fuck, Then the dabs came out, which like that's what I was gonna bring up also when they talk about their weed was better. Okay, I'll give them that just because I think what we have now isn't weed anymore. You know, I would say,
it's the extreme, bro.
well, I mean, it's like a whole new thing, to be honest. Because like
Yeah.
it'd be like, okay, you know, like you wouldn't say Super Saiyan 4 Goku was Goku, you know. So it's like a different strain like of plant in general. And like when you sit there and say different strains, you know, that's basically what you're doing. You're creating a new gene, like cousins. You know, it's like from the branch of weed. So I guess you could say like we had like the best weed back in the day because you technically had weed. What is it? What should we call it now? Because it's technically not the same plant, you know, genetically.
Yeah. Somebody said terps is what determines how you feel. Work
Oh
hard, play
yeah,
hard.
yeah. Terpenes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I drank some beer with some terpenes in it not too long ago, but it was like to where not the kind that gets you high.
He said GMO pot.
Uh, hell yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, if you haven't gotten high in a while, even if you really fucking loved it back in the day,
Yeah.
and you go to do it again, baby steps.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Don't just go in there fucking hitting that dab or hitting that
Hell no.
fucking water,
I don't even.
whatever.
Yeah, I don't even
On
smoke
my
that.
day, it was a fucking water bomb.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's baby steps to get back on it because most people that have quit that used to get high every day
Hmm.
loved it. You'll hear a story where they're like, "Man, I got high again and I'm fucking freaked out. I didn't fucking like it no more." And it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you just fucking hit that anxiety part of it, man. It
Yeah.
got to you.
Yeah.
Uh,
Um.
that's
There.
why.
Yeah, I was gonna say there is some stuff out there that I've had that didn't make me feel that way. You know. Um. It's definitely who you're getting it from, how they're growing it. You know. But like we just never had that problem when we were younger because it wasn't the strains weren't so synthesized. You know. So like that stuff that would cause you anxiety in it normally wouldn't be at the levels that it is now. You know.
Where's all the strains? I know they have a few, but I think it should be mandatory to fucking put some CBD in that shit, dude, because that would stop anyone from freaking the fuck out.
Yeah. I
That
mean,
it's the strains with no CBD whatsoever.
see, it's like two
But if you
different
have a
growing
strain,
processes for it, though. For production of CBD and the
really,
production of THC is like two different things because you're bringing two different entities out in the plant. So, like, if you wanted a strain that had both, you would just grow it normal. You know, like the genetics and the breeding would just be normal. You wouldn't be trying to select those genes over other ones because you only have so many lines of code in each strand of DNA, depending if it's me or you or a plant or you know whatever. So like if you're trying to bump one up, you know what I'm saying, that's got that energy's got to come from somewhere in the strain of DNA. You know, so if I'm pumping
yeah,
CBD, like that's what I have to do for. And then like the nutrient cycles are different, like how you flower it, you know, the timings and all that kind of stuff. How much CO2, when it needs the CO2, how long of a growth process versus a fruiting process. Like there's a lot that goes into all of it. I mean, it's so simplified now because they're just like, oh, this is what you do, and they have the recipes and stuff. But like evening it out where you have both, you just grow it normal. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
You know?
yeah. There's a strand that is very high in TH or CBD, and I'd like to get some seeds for that. Dude. I forget what it's called. Let me look real quick. Let me look it up.
But yeah, I'm with you, man. I prefer buds over anything really. Like I don't really like the dabs and all that kind of stuff, the new stuff. I'm kind of with it on the old style of smoking.
Yeah, I
I
think it
remember
was something
Scarlet Red.
gift.
So basically, when you want THC production, you're looking to imitate a cycle in which the plant needs to protect its leaves, right? Um, that's like why, like
Yeah,
White Widow, you'll get so much more THC content out of it at the end of the cycle if you just let it sit and like, well, you got to flush out the root system first, and then you just let it sit in that tent in the dark for 2 days straight, and then that's when you start getting a lot of that crystalline on the white widow, because it starts trying to protect its leaves. It thinks it's going to get cold outside, so it's going to be like, I need more oil sacs on my leaves to protect me from this frost. And like you can do the same thing with heat. It just risks burning more. Like you can burn leaves being too cold, but it's just easier to go to the heat and burn the leaves and then bust open the resin sacs, and then you got all kinds of bullshit in your weed that you don't want. You want to just get them to the point where they're just about to burst.
That strain is called Ringo's Gift.
I wonder where that came
Hell
from.
Yeah. Ringo's Gift. There's one called Canatonic, ACDC, Harlequin. And those are all high in CBD. So if you smoke those, if you're paranoid and you have anxiety, you probably won't freak the fuck out like I did that day when I smoked that moldy ass blue fucking greenish mold from the storage locker. Because, man, what they used to do back in the day is that shit come over from Mexico. They'd shove 100 pounds in a storage locker and trash bags. It'd get moist and all that, and it'd start molding. And then they'd pull it out. By the time you got to the end of it, it smelled like mothballs and butthole and fucking grass clippings. And then you never know what you're smoking. And then you end up hitting out a 4-foot water bong and you freak the fuck out.
Yeah.
And you're flipping out. You got to go get a Valium at the hospital. Calm your ass down.
He asked me if I temp dropped. I used to, but I noticed that it was stressing it out a little too much. Like sometimes I could do it and I could get away with it. But temp dropping, like, because what I always do is before I cut the plant, I cut my clones, right? So I would cut my White Widow strands clones after, after I stopped the 48-hour cycle and temp dropped. So I would get stressed in the genetics of the plant when I was going into my cloning. So I was having more risk of hermaphrodites coming through. I had like a 30% clone rate at that point when I was temp dropping, and that's not good, because you at that rate. If you can get by with it for a while, but eventually it's going to kill off your mother. And you better have a backup, and you don't typically want to redo your mother with your clones. You want her original genetics. She's changed her genetics through the whole life cycle of like cutting, trimming, water cycles, what it's been through on the daily. That structure of how it produces and what it does changes. So like when you want a mother, you want to get it from seeds every time. So if you lose that plant, over time because your clone rate's too low, then you're fucked. Unless you know somebody with the genetics again, and then you should get more seeds off of. But a lot of time, like I noticed around here is it would get hard because of the fact that people would have like some seeds for like let's say White Russian or White Rhino or any of that kind of stuff, and you'd be able to get it, you plant it, and you'd be growing it, and then something happens to your mom, and then you're like, okay, I need another one. I need some more seeds for that. Oh, well, I'm not growing that no more. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm not going to get into like how to be successful in markets and all that kind of stuff, but yeah, it gets to be a problem. But seeds, genetics you can make probably more money just selling genetics of plants if you knew what you were doing with breeding and stuff and where you were getting your sources. That you could probably make more money doing that than growing it and selling it, to be honest, especially with so many dispensaries looking for their own like handcrafted weed, their own thing to put their stamp on. Like you could be the king of that. Yeah.
There's so much fucking bullshit in the politics to get into it though. They're trying to keep it in the hands of the people who are already rich. But it's been awesome, Kyle. We should do this again sometime.
Yeah.
I got to take the old lady to the drive-in, or else she's going to feed me more rat poison than usual.
Right.
Every time, like, give me a cup of something to drink. I can taste that strychnine in there.
You can have me on about all kinds of things. We only gotten like one little aspect of me.
Hell yeah. Also, guys, Kyle's he's trying to get back into music.
Yeah,
So check him out on his TikTok.
I
He
appreciate
likes
it.
to
I do like rap, and I put like
rap.
country in it. So it's like a country rap most of the time. So I do it all. But I'm looking to do a
Oh yeah.
songwriting, so I'm trying to get back into music for that. But yeah, if you guys want to come through and check it out, I appreciate it.
And you also have a YouTube, right?
Yeah, that's got a lot of gaming content on it though.
Yeah, Kyle's a fucking hacker, dude. He could hack up some shit.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
hacked all my Nintendo Wii's for me. Fucking badass, dude.
yeah. And Xboxes, the OGs. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Fucking
yeah,
Coinbase. But
yeah.
yeah, guys, check out his shit. Links in the description. I'm going to the drive-in. See
Peace.
y'all later. Y'all have a good night.
All right, have a good one.